Hey y'all, welcome back to Learning Together by Grace. This is Rebecca, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Simply Charlotte Mason method of homeschooling. I'm going to do an overview and tell you the pros and the cons, as well as my take on it. Are y'all ready? I am. Let's go. Okay, I took some notes because I was doing some research on the Simply Charlotte Mason method, or you can just say Charlotte Mason method of homeschooling. And basically the focus is living books. And so the way that I want you to think about it is a day in the life. Think about a day in the life. And the first suggestion when it comes to introducing the Charlotte Mason method of homeschooling is to use history. Let history be the foundation. And so when you're choosing books, I want you to consider like the details and of the maybe the feelings and the thoughts of the people that are going through their life. You know, consider their history, their personal history, their background, their culture, their environment. And so for instance, if you were doing the day in the life of Harriet Tubman, so if you have a biography, if you have a regular biography, it's going to say she was a slave, she created the Underground Railroad, she helped to free other slaves. That would be kind of like a brief synopsis of who she was. And a lot of times that's what you would get in regular public school. Let me not say regular, but in public school. And so when you're going deeper using living books, you want to consider, okay, what made her decide to free herself? What was the turning point in her life? And think about books that will delve into what were her feelings, what were her emotions, like what was she thinking that morning when she woke up and she knew that today is the day. Okay, what was it like for her first journey when she freed herself? Finding the path and the steps that she took. Who was around her? Who did she see? What sorrows did she have? What joy did she have? And so you want to think about going into depth like that, a day in the life. That's the best way that my brain can wrap itself around living books. Okay. So when it comes to doing, say, a study on Harriet Tubman, maybe read a paragraph for the day or just a small passage for the day. And this is something that you can do as a whole family lesson. So think about a passage for the day. After you get done reading that to your children, you can have them narrate, like orally narrate what it is that they've learned from what they've heard from reading. And you don't want, so with Charlotte Mason, you don't want to make it so heavily focused on, we have to do a report, we have to write it down, although that can come later because, as children get into high school, middle school, high school, they definitely need to be able to write. But the main focus is, what did you really learn? And don't just reiterate what the author wrote about this person, but what did you feel? What did you think? What were your thoughts on what she was going through? And, just step back as the parent and allow your children to speak. Alrighty, so in order to begin the Charlotte Mason method, stage one that is recommended is to start with history. So, again, you can start with maybe doing a living book on someone like Harriet Tubman, or a living history book on how the United States became to be, or anything of that nature, and focus on that. Now, the next stage would be picture studies. So you can do picture studies, music studies, poetry studies, and nature studies, things of that nature. So consider for the picture studies, think about the artist's history. The artist that painted or took up this picture, what was their background? What did they used to do? And you also want to think about how it made them feel. Like, what feeling were they trying to provoke with this particular picture? And the same thing with music study. Think about the composer that you're studying, or even if you're studying like a genre of music, what was going on during that time? like I think about the Harlem Renaissance and that time in history when you had jazz that came out, the blues, I mean, just R&B, all of those wonderful things because of the Harlem Renaissance. So consider things of that nature, and you can go more in depth with those studies. So think about books that would give more details. Again, think about the five senses. What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste maybe? So think about that when it comes to doing those particular studies. And then with poetry, you're not just having your children memorize poetry. You're having them really dig deep into, again, the five senses. What was going on at the time when this poet was writing? What was their life story? What were they feeling? What was their day in the life? Okay? Alrighty, and nature studies. So what you can do is give your child a notebook, and you guys go on a walk, and you can have them write about what they see. You can have them draw things. You can have them collect things. And then you can have them maybe focus on what changes they see over time. So say you begin your nature walk, and maybe you go along the same trail, and say that you begin in August when it's still hot outside. And then now you're transitioning into the cooler fall months, and oh, wow, look, the leaves are changing. Like they're observing this. And oh, it's wintertime. It's really cold now, but all of the leaves are gone. And maybe you can focus on the insects that you see, the animals that you see, how the sky is looking, and just have them notate that, draw pictures about that, and you guys orate it, do an oral narrative of what your nature walks were about. Alrighty, so now going into stage 3 of the Simply Charlotte Mason method of homeschooling, read alouds. So this can be a chapter book that you and your family read every single day. And so think about maybe at nighttime when it's time for bed. And let me tell y'all something. This can go for the higher grades too, because I like being read to. My husband has been reading to me at night. Everything I know I learned in kindergarten. And so he reads me a chapter of that, and I love hearing him read. He has a great voice, and it helps me to relax, but it also gives me food for thought. And so you can do nighttime reading, or you can even do maybe early morning reading before you even get started with your day. And it can get your children's gears going. Or maybe during break time, lunchtime. So you want to also think about including, so with Charlotte Mason, because it is a Christian background, they encourage Bible reading, Bible verses, memory verses, and writing out memory verses on maybe an index card or a running notebook that maybe you have as a family. So that's another option. Charlotte Mason is big on Christianity, so evolution is not something that they recommend when it comes to the books that you are choosing. So I just wanted to add that little caveat. Now, when it comes to math, this is stage 4. Math in the early years should focus on using manipulatives and not so much on the writing aspect of math. You shouldn't have worksheets as the driving factor for your math. And you want to consider short lessons with manipulative work, again, oral narration, and having your children understanding the why behind the math that they are doing. You want to make them think mathematically throughout the day. So, distances, think about distances, think about measurements. One thing I think about that maybe I've been doing since my children were little was having them help me cook and talking them through like, okay, well, this is half of a cup, but we only need a quarter of a cup. And so half of a half is 1/4. And so we can use a half of a cup in order to do our measurements for 1/4, but we only need to use half of what's available for us to use in that half of a cup. So things of that nature. Maybe if you're trying to do learn numbers, teaching them about, okay, today I'm gonna give you 1 grape. And then throughout the week, 1 grape. And then next week, today I'm giving you 2 grapes. Or maybe you can take it to cookies. 1 cookie today, 2 cookies today, just whatever it is. But using everyday real life manipulatives to help with teaching math. And as they get older, of course, they will have to begin doing paper math, but it should still be short bouts of it. So consider like a 20-minute lesson. The first 10 to 15 minutes, you're teaching a skill, and then the last 5 to 10 minutes, they're practicing that skill. You're not wanting to make it too strenuous, even in the high school years, y'all, okay? The focus isn't just about how many problems can I complete in this 1 minute. It's not that. It's not memorization. It's about making math a part of your daily life. All right, now the fifth stage would be language arts. And language arts really is integrated all throughout. You know what, before I go to language arts, let me say one more thing about math. With the math, in the younger years especially, so think pre-K up to maybe 5th grade, you're not wanting to have your children practice their writing during their math lessons. There's a time and a place for that. And that is where the language arts falls into play. And so again, language arts is integrated throughout the entire process. And the way that you want to look at it is they're doing oral narrations, and as they are notating when they do nature studies, that's writing. And as they're reading and as they're listening to you read, they're hearing words. And you may even have them do repetitive, like repeat maybe what you said to help. Think about when you're teaching your children to learn to talk. You say something and they repeat it, and you have them repeat it. Say mama, say mama, say dada, say dada. And you have them do, and you do this over and over and over and over again until they master it, right? So that's what I want you to consider when it comes to language arts and integrating it into your daily life. You want, when it comes to learning parts of speech, you want to do this again with living books examples. And this again is learned around the age of 10. So that's about the 5th grade year. You want to allow them to do copy work again with living books. Small bouts, you guys, not a lot. 10 minutes is not recommended, but you know, maybe, okay, let's write this sentence. And if you see that they've gone past that 10 minutes, you know what? Let's stop for the day. We're done. It's not about forcing them to finish it, but it's about having them go at their pace. You can have them write out Bible verses, poetry, things of that nature. And then the spelling aspect of it, you want to expose them to many written words. And you're doing that by reading to them. You're doing that by having them listen. And, you know, you want to make sure that as they are learning to spell, it's not rote memory, but it's actually them being exposed to words, them seeing words. And this could be simply by putting words up around your home, and they're able to see those. Okay. And you want to also build your language arts every single year. So you're building on top of what you have taught them the previous years. Alrighty, and so the 5th stage would be to add extras. And so the Simply Charlotte Mason method calls this the Shakespeare stage. And basically they are suggesting you learn about different plays and actually finding the plays, if you could possibly find the original plays, and then having someone read it to you. So think about like an oral play. Think about Audible. So maybe if you find it on Audible and listening to how it sounds, the inflection in the voices, and think about maybe the drama that's brought into certain parts. Think about the quiet moments that's brought into certain parts of these plays. And so the suggestion is to learn an entire play for the year. And also it's to have your children then learn how to reenact these plays and give the right inflections as they're speaking these lines in the plays. And then hopefully at the end of all of that learning, you actually get to watch Shakespeare in action, watch a Shakespeare play in action. And so one thing I want you to consider with this is that think outside of the box. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare plays, but this is what Charlotte Mason suggests. In this stage, you also have foreign languages, and you have what's called handicrafts and art instruction. So again, even with a foreign language, it's life, living life. Okay, so we have a chair here, and you want to teach them about the chair first from the English standpoint, how you would say it, like sit down in the chair. You would say that sentence, but then when you would want to revert it to another language, you would break it down to sit, chair. So you make it as simple as possible, and you give them the word for chair in that foreign language and the word for sit in the foreign language, and you do as you are teaching. So you literally go, you sit in the chair, and then you say, I am sitting in the chair. And then you repeat this multiple times and have them repeat it. And then you move on to the foreign language and you actually do sit, chair, or sit in chair, sit in chair. And so they would get the foreign language of sit in chair. And then you would put it all together and give them the other words for I, like I am sitting in the chair. Okay, and then after that, you have them look around the house, and where are some other places that you can sit? On the bed, on the couch, on the floor, and then that's how they are incorporating that in their day-to-day. So they may say, Mom, okay, what's the word for sofa in Spanish? And you give them the name for it, and then they say, this is how you say a full sentence, I am sitting on the sofa in Spanish. And they're learning by everyday life. Alrighty, and so I think that is all for the Charlotte Mason method, the Simply Charlotte Mason method. So I would say the pros to this is that you are living life and learning together. It's not separate from school. It's just a part of your life. You're living life and you're learning. And these, again, are living books. So it makes it more interesting for your child. Now, the cons to it, I would say, is that it can possibly be challenging to find these living books, and maybe even living books that cater to what it is that you want your children to learn. And some of the books that you may be looking for, they might not have accuracies in there. And so having to consider that. And so my take on the Charlotte Mason method, or Simply Charlotte Mason method, is that I think it's a phenomenal curriculum. I think that this is a good way to include everything that you want in your homeschooling. You have your history, your science, your foreign languages, you have your arts, you have your sciences, math. You have all of those things included in the curriculum. And I actually, with going through and researching about this method, I realized that there are some parts of it that I actually do use in my homeschooling. And it's just a part of everyday living. And I'm teaching, and even when we're not, I'm just a little secret, even when it's not homeschool time, like during summer break, like right now, I still find myself teaching my children. And so So they're so funny. They'll be like, Mom, it's not homeschool. And I just tell them learning is all day, every day, year round. And so what I would say to you is you can be very strenuous on how you follow this, and you follow this method to a T, which is fine, but you can also maybe pick and choose certain things that you like and that you know will work for your family. Okay, you guys, so that is all that I have for you. I hope that maybe this has helped you in some way, and I will leave a playlist that I listen to on YouTube about the Simply Charlotte Mason method that may help you decide, yes, this is for me, or maybe it'll help you decide that, you know what, no, this isn't for me, and that's okay, because this is you and your family's homeschool life. So think about that as you are listening to even my videos or anyone else's videos. I hope you guys have a good day. Don't forget to subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Let people know what we're doing over here. God bless you. Bye.